My friends at SD Bullion consistently offer the best pricing and service in the precious metals industry. They help me when I'm in the market for a physical precious metal. They can help you too. Visit sdbullion.com for more information. Well, happy Friday, TFMR. We have come to the end of the month of February. 4 weeks in the month, and they're all behind us now, as is the first 1/6 of the year. Time flying by. We're now 2/3 of the way through the first quarter. Have you factored that into your mining share earnings yet? And far different outlook than what we seemed to share a month ago, 4 weeks ago today. I posted earlier this afternoon the link to the podcast that I recorded back on Sunday, February the 1st. And we talked about what happened the previous Friday, the January the 30th. We also discussed the monthly charts, both in the early part of the podcast and the latter part of the podcast. Now, they didn't look that bad. I mean, maybe the silver one wasn't so great, but the gold chart looked fine. This GDX chart looked fine. We talked about how, okay, well, anything can happen in February, and maybe by the end of February, we'll all just look like we're ready to jump off the roof. Instead, what a February we've had. Gold up, 22%? No, not that much. I'm sorry, 8%. GDX up about 22%. SIL up maybe 27%. And silver staging a big rally again today. Now, a lot of today's action, whether it's in the bond market or in the metals, probably due to worries about what's going to happen over the weekend. As I've included in my macrocast, as I read to you a couple of days ago, that quote from Rubio, Secretary of State of the U.S., the morning that they had grabbed up Maduro. And he said, look, this president is a president of action. And he's going to, if he thinks something's going to need to be done, he's going to do it. We're not messing around. FAFO. And I applied that a couple times now to what's going on with Iran. And obviously there's some great concern, and for good reason, that we are going to maybe start something this weekend, maybe early next week. Gold has been spiking here in the last few minutes, going into the Globex close. I mean, it finished COMEX 52.48. I've got a last 52.91, and was 52.80 as recently as just 5 or 6 minutes ago. And I got 52.93 with a few minutes to go here on the Globex before we're done for the weekend. We'll keep an eye on that, see where it finishes up by the time we finish up this podcast. But at that level, we're up nearly $100 on the day. Silver spiking 2, up $7 on the day. The shares kind of fighting against the stock market, which was fighting against more private credit fiasco issues. The shares were only up 2 points on the GDX, only. But again, I'll remind you, I mean, they had a hell of a month. And I will remind you where we were 4 weeks ago today. All the people out there screaming, oh, it's over. Speculative blow off top. Remember all that stuff? Well, I guess not. Again, the monthly charts last month didn't look that bad. Said we'd probably have a good month this month, and we did. And now the monthly charts for February look tremendous. I mentioned yesterday, if COMEX silver could rally enough today, and it had to rally over $3, and it did, but if it could rally enough today and finish at its highs of the month, finish the week in excess of the previous intra-week high as we were bouncing back, that all of this would be setting us up for at least a pretty good early March. If not the whole month, we'll see. I don't know. But man, now that we're back to almost 95, we get through 95, it's going to be looking like 105. So, again, I'll remind you of how it looked a month ago and how it looks today. I'm going to put on this page The interview that I recorded for Sprott Money yesterday with Michael Oliver, I alluded to a few things that he said in yesterday's podcast, the Thursday podcast, and I shared with you a couple of his charts. The whole video was released by Sprott Money about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Strongly urge you to watch. Because if Michael's right, and again, he looks at relative percentages, if you will. Not so much the gold-silver ratio, but what is an ounce of silver to an ounce of gold? You know, if that was as high as 3.1% back in April of 2011 when silver peaked out, it's only like 1.8% now. If that goes back to 3% and gold goes to 6,000, that implies a silver price of 180. Beside that, the ratio of basically the GDX, but the XAU, the mining shares, to gold was breaking out on a monthly basis of a 14-year base. Bigger the base, higher the space, right? Well, that got accomplished too. So anyway, so make sure you watch Michael Oliver. I'll embed that video on this page. So when you're done listening to this podcast, please give it a watch. Because if you're in the mining shares, as I am, you might want to take it under advisement and not be so quick to pull the trigger, and freak out every time, the shares go down or they don't keep up with the metals or whatever. Got to remember the long game. And boy, Michael will get you excited about the long game. Let's check in again. Where is gold now? 11 minutes to go. I got 52.95. Can we get over 5,300? We'll see. Again, rallying into the close on concerns that by the time we reopen Sunday evening at 6, who knows what the world will look like. Crude up today. The crude chart, like the gold daily chart, having come up from $55 where we caught that low back in whatever it was, November, December. It has a series of bull flags on it, just like the gold chart. It too now breaking up through its most recent bull flag. Looks like it at least wants to go to 70, if not beyond. Oh, and here's one more for you, for your grain traders out there. I've got some soybean calls on that I bought back around Valentine's Day, because that was always the old adage. Buy them on Valentine's Day, sell them on Mother's Day. It's been really dry with a northwest flow in the plains in the Midwest. So I bought them. Soybean chart doesn't look too shabby either if you want to have some fun. All right, so anyway, we finished the COMEX at 93.10 for May silver. May now the front month. Like I said, we're already up about $1.50 from there as we go to wrap things up. We finished COMEX gold at 52.48. We're up nearly $50 from there. On the week, we had a good week. Obviously, in the metals, helped along by a drop in the 2-year note of 10 basis points on the week. 10-year note down 12 basis points on the week. Dollar down a little bit. GDX up 960 on the week. What's that, about 9%? Not too shabby. And like I said, on the week to week, from last Friday's COMEX close to this Friday's COMEX close, gold up $167. Silver up $10.10. Not too shabby. Lastly, open interest continues to decline. We'll get to your COTS here in a minute. Yesterday, gold down $30. Open interest down $1,000. 407,000. Again, lowest level since December of 2018. Silver down $405 yesterday. Open interest down $2,200. Now down to under 118,000. Only 6,223 stood for March. So for all of you that were wondering, maybe thinking that I'd lost my edge. People on Twitter calling me a shill or a troll because I was telling them that the COMEX wasn't going to fail in March when AI guy and a bunch of other people that are looking for clickbait were trying to tell them that it was. Well, anyway, it's not. It will at some point, but it's not coming this month. Okay, next week we'll have the PMIs. And then it's labor report stuff. ADP jobs, JOLTS, I think should be in there too. And then a BLSBS next Friday. Whew. No rest for the weary. Okay, that's it. I don't have any tweets or links for you today because I just got too much other stuff. 7 minutes to go now on the Globex session, and I got 52.97 for April gold and 94.40 for the May silver. Okay, what do we have on this page? Let's start with here. You know what? I'll put a screenshot in here. That'll be the first thing on here so you can see where everything finished up. Okay, then to your charts. Let's start with the bond market. There's a weekly chart of the yield on the 2-year note, which this time 2 years ago, just as gold was beginning to break out, was at 5%. Plunged in the latter part of 2024, and as you can see, for about the last 12 months, ever since Trump took office, has steadily declined a full 100 basis points from about 4.4 to 3.4. And again, closing down here, this weekly chart doesn't even go back far enough to tell you how long it's been since we've closed there on a weekly basis. You can see this on the yield on the 10-year note as well. Again, since Trump took office January last year, we're up near 475, at least north of 4.5. We're now down under 4. Lowest weekly close in that thing since before Trump was elected, October of 2024. Anyway, you can see the general trend here. Obviously supportive of the precious metals. Okay, let's go through the big four with your daily, your weekly, all that kind of stuff, and monthly charts. The daily chart of the dollar index I didn't give you today. Did down a little bit. Again, 6th or 7th day in a row, it has failed to get back above its 50-day. On the weekly chart, though, you can see it tried to fall below 97 2 weeks ago, but it's also now spent 5 or 6 weeks trying to get back above 98. Anyway, kind of going sideways. And the dollar on the monthly chart, I've seen a few people draw this trend line before. Fell out of here last month, failed to get back above this month. Let's see what happens in March. It's going to be very interesting for the dollar index, and obviously a falling dollar will help. 4 charts of gold. Here's your chart on the week. Again, surging higher coming out of last weekend. The very first, these are 30-minute candlesticks. The very first hour, Sunday night. Gold going from 5,100 or so up to almost 5,190. Rallying up to 5,250 early on Monday, then getting smashed, and then we know what happened on Wednesday. And then you can see going out today. Now, when I printed this 52.76, like I said, I got 52.96 right now. So we're going out at the highs of the week. Gold on the daily chart. Again, I showed you this yesterday. First, we were coming out of last week in that first bull flag. Popped out last Friday, closed back above the 20-day. Looked great. So what happened? Yeah, up another $100 some odd this week. And then we had this other little flag that started forming back on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we burst out of that today. Looks for sure at this point. We're going up into this area north of 5,400, somewhere between 54, 54.50. I got those UGL calls on. That's what I'll be looking for as a place to take some profits. Then, like I said, then you're going to get the double top. Oh, it's a double top. All that stuff will be coming, but it's not. 6,000 will be next. Gold on the weekly chart, as you can see, just continues to plug along. Up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, and now busting out again. Now, it's going to be a while before it can close above the intra-week high from 4 weeks ago. But nonetheless, man, that's uninterrupted outside of one day at the end of January. And then on the monthly chart, again, it's going to take a while for gold to exceed the previous intra-month high. But it did last month, okay? Even after it pulled back on Friday the 30th, it was still above the December intra-month high, which was a good sign. We talked about that on February the 1st. And so then again, no shock. Really good month. Continues a string of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles in a row. Turning to silver. Silver on the week. Again, charging out on the reopen last Sunday night. Going sideways, a lot of hammers. Finally takes off on Wednesday and then gets smoked with the shenanigans. Driven all the way back down to 86 yesterday morning. And then you can see a soaring into the close. Again, finished the COMEX 93.10, which was good enough to put it above that high from back there on February the 4th of 92.72. So silver pulls that really nice little double whammy of finishing the month, not only at its highs of the month, but higher than the previous any other day. That's pretty solid. You can see the 20-day drop down below the 50-day today, but that'll be turning back higher too. Right now, we're just going to wait to see how quickly it can fill back in that big red bar from 4 weeks ago today. If anything, it looks like it's going to 105. Silver on the weekly chart. Okay. I mean, the big hammer, again, you can't help but see that, but it's bouncing back. Getting to 105 would put it at a new weekly closing high when it gets there. And then silver on the monthly chart. New all-time high monthly close. Again, it's going to take a lot of work to get above that intra-month high from January. But again, what's wrong with this? And let's count the green candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green monthly candles in a row. And finally to the shares. GDX up, like I said, 2 points, 115.88. New all-time high daily close. Okay. On the weekly chart, really ugly week 4 weeks ago, but now finishing this week above that previous intra-week high of like 114 and change. Finishing the week at a new weekly all-time high. And then your final chart, finishing the month at a new monthly all-time high. So, armed with that information, and the same is true for the SIL or the SILGE or whatever you want to look at, armed with that information, go directly from this podcast to listening to my discussion with Michael Oliver that we recorded on Thursday. Finally, to your cots in the crazy, big, wide open, crazy world of the COMEX. On the week, okay, this is Wednesday the 13th through Tuesday the 20, wait a second, not Wednesday the 13th. Wednesday would have been the 18th. Yeah, Wednesday the 18th. That's what was throwing me off. Through Tuesday the 24th. Okay, this is before the March silver went off the board, before the crack up, whatever happened Wednesday afternoon. Okay, this is through Tuesday. On the week, gold up $270. Open interest up $13,000. So surely you would think big rush of large spec money, managed money, coming in on the long side. That must be what's driving it. Why open interest is up? No. Open interest up because of the small specs. You know, we never know who actually they're trying to cram into that category. Across the swap dealers and across managed money, hardly any change at all. I mean, a little bit of a bump in the swap dealer net short position. But look at the managed money. Trimming longs and shorts. Put it all in the large spec category. Large spec net long fell. We're up $270 on the week. Large spec net long fell by $700. Again, at $159,200 net long, the large speculator category, the smallest position since the end of February 2024, 2 years ago, before gold even broke out above 2,100. It's not a bubble. 4 weeks ago, after they, plunged us back, or before they plunged us back, the large spec net long position was 205,000. It's now down to 159. while prices bounce back. Okay? There's not some big speculative rush back into gold either. All right, and then finally look at your COT for silver. Last thing on this page. Again, same thing. Silver up nearly $14, $13.95 on the reporting week. Unbelievable. Open interest, though, down. The hell's going on here? Well, you got some new longs, covered some shorts in managed money, but still, their net, the managed money net positions, that lower right, only 8,500 net long. It was 40-some thousand a few months ago. And look at these puny positions. Large speculators put that whole category together. Down 4,100 longs. Covered almost 2,400 shorts. That's a net 1,700 reduction in their net long, to them now being only net long 22,000. Now, still about the same ratio of 3-to-1. But there's just nobody there. Nobody there. Really, really remarkable. And look at, while the price was rallying again, look at the swap dealers. Adding 700 longs, covering 1,300 shorts. What a time to be alive. Okay, we'll see what happens next week or over the weekend. I don't know what's going to happen. But you ought to keep an eye on this site and keep an eye on the headlines, that's for sure. Gold finished up the April contract $52.97, up $102 on the day. May silver finished $94.36, up $6.78 on the day. Copper up, platinum up, palladium up, crude up. Okay. All right. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Again, please watch that video with Michael Oliver, especially if you're a mining share investor. And we'll see you on Monday. All right. Have a great weekend. It's your pal Turd Ferguson signing off. And I'm out.